One of the first smartphones launched globally running the mighty Snapdragon 8 Generation 3 is the Vivo IQOO 12, as fast and polished as a BMW car, and is it setting the trend for a great smartphone in 2024? Let's inspect! Hey everybody, welcome to the channel, TechMishka over here, and we expect a lot of cool and interesting tech. At times when everybody is expecting the new flagship line from Samsung and maybe Xiaomi and OnePlus globally and some other brands which are working on high-end smartphones, Vivo have dropped the IQOO 12 series smartphones, which are fairly interesting not just because of the BMW branding stamped on the back, but also because it's one of the first arriving with Snapdragon 8 Generation 3 globally. And not just that, we have a pretty decent camera setup, graphite battery with 120-watt charging, extra bright display, and even software which seems to be fairly interesting on a gaming-oriented smartphone. Sounds like we have a bunch of testing to do, so let's dive into it. With a launch price of around $600 for a smartphone with fresher and in most cases better specs than most 2023 flagships, IQOO 12 sounds like a really good deal. The Pro Edition is close to $150 more, and I feel that this time around the non-Pro Edition could be the better value pack. Not much of competition globally, at least not in the moment when it launches, but for sure there are gonna be a lot of attractive options, and looks like Vivo wanna be among the first out there and show that they really are good. If you are a fan of BMW cars, then you may truly enjoy the unboxing. Comes in style, two color options, the Black Alpha Edition and the White Legend Edition. There's a protective case included, and something nice to appreciate here, a wall charger. This 120-watt gun charger is your best shot for quick charging. As for the design, it's fairly different to last year's IQOO 11, and I believe the changes are making it look better. But the camera bump is now very obvious, and as it turns out, captures fingerprints quite easily. This indeed seems to be the exact place where my finger lands naturally most times. The frame sides are quite nice. Could be that the idea is to somewhat resemble the iPhone 14 feeling because even the buttons look somewhat familiar. The phone is rather thin. According to Vivo, it is because of the innovative battery design. It has a capacity of 5000 mAh, and if you care about the rest of the specs, I will for sure remind you that it is powered by Snapdragon 8 Generation 3, comes equipped with 12 or 16 GB of RAM, has 144Hz LTPO AMOLED display, HDR10 Plus certification, a supercomputing Q1 chip, triple camera setup, 120-watt charging, and arrives with Android 14 based on the FunTouch OS skin made by Vivo. Looking at the list with the specifications, this body ticks most boxes about being a great 2024 high-end smartphone with being gaming-oriented. It really sets the expectations on a very high level, but 120-watt charging, which is pretty nice. It has crazy bright display, one of the best out there on the market for a globally launched system, and it even comes with Android 14 out of the box with 3 years of software support. That's fairly decent, but I'm gonna come back to this in just a moment. There are some alarming things about the hardware to talk about. For instance, there is no wireless charging for the non-Pro Edition, which, given the very quick 120-watt charging, yes, maybe something we can live with, but the Type-C port is according to the USB 2.0 specifications, which means it is much slower in terms of transfer speeds as compared to USB 3, and sometimes copying files via Wi-Fi may feel actually quicker. Kind of weird. Coming back to the facts, it is powered by the Snapdragon 8 Generation 3, one of the first smartphones launched globally with this system on a chip, being gaming-oriented. There's a bunch of testing we want to do, but first, let's do some photos and explore the camera setup. Nice looking photos, maybe a little oversaturated, and so many details. This is the same image sensor as the one inside Xiaomi 14 Pro, and there finally is a third big player besides Sony and Samsung, apparently capable of providing exceptional image quality. I love the fact that both daytime and nighttime taken photos are stunning, and looks like the phone doesn't add too much of processing so that it all looks natural. The inbuilt camera app gives very pleasing experience and you can quickly switch between the various modes. I'm happy to share that the IQOO 12 natively supports 24 FPS video recordings in 4K and it can capture slow motion in up to 240 FPS and even provide some creative modes. If you're curious about the portrait mode option because it often is related to AI, especially when applying the bokeh, a Snapdragon 8 Generation 3 is supposed to be quite helpful here, and it is. Not yet absolutely perfect, though. Video recording has OIS and EIS stabilization both when captured with the main 50-megapixel camera. The other two shooters are also decent, a 3-time telephoto, which is a bliss, finally a telephoto backed by a good image sensor, and in order to fit everything in this slim body, Vivo have opted for a periscope setup. You can see the proof that the 70mm equivalent telephoto camera is really good, even for low-light photography. The ultra-wide sensor is also a good addition. Best results are expected in daytime, but even in low light, photos may actually look good. The front camera is kind of average. Yes, quite capable about photos, and it is nice to see HDR being supported, but no 4K video, not even 1080p at 60p. Kind of weird. But in the end of the day, the IQOO series have never been that much focused around the camera performance, although this time the Moto 12 over-delivers. Whether it's the same kind of feeling about gaming, well, I can for sure say that whatever Vivo promised about the smartphone's performance is absolutely right. The phone stays cool all the time, it can handle monstrous loads, and every game, no matter how intensive, is gonna run fine on this smartphone. The new Snapdragon is an absolute delight to be used. In terms of heat dissipation, the IQOO 12 comes with a vapor chamber heat spreading plate which is larger than on the 12 Pro, and the latter one uses a stainless steel stamping process. The phone is equipped with the so-called Q1 chip, a custom intelligent display processor meant to enhance the gaming and the multimedia experience. I'm not among the most passionate gamers, but the titles that I play on a regular basis for sure have been extra smooth on the IQOO 12. There's a larger than the usual speaker chamber, and although I feel that out there we can find more capable phones about reproduction of high-end tones, the bass and the lower-end tones sound quite good. If you care about battery performance, and you should, I think I have some great news to share over here. I set up all my daily drivers in the same way, therefore I believe this statistics is fairly accurate. This smartphone gives me between 20 and 30% better endurance per charge as compared to Galaxy S23, even the Google Pixel 8 Pro. And no, it doesn't have wireless charging, but on the other hand you can top up from 0 to 100% within just 25 minutes. That's really insanely quick. On the other hand, I'll take a moment and criticize the flash charging technology by Vivo because it's proprietary and seems to be restricted. Guess what? It only works with the Vivo's original charger and original cable. I've tried a dozen of combinations with other chargers and cables, and although I did manage to get the Flash Charge logo with one of my third-party cables, the speed was as if I'm using a 20-watt charger. I really wish to see broader support, or at least some form of the original quick charging technology by Qualcomm. The rest of the hardware features worked flawlessly. Great quality of the phone calls, proximity sensor is problem-free, stable signal reception, you can use up to 2 nano SIM cards inside, there are some handy shortcuts. Besides the side panel, which I guess many people would appreciate, there's also a quick launch shortcut for the camera by double pressing the volume down button. I couldn't find a way to activate the default Android double press of the power button though. If you press and hold the very same volume down key, this turns the flashlight on. If you care about software goodies, yeah, there are a bunch of them. I can't say I'm a fan of Vivo's alternative Play Store market. It is by default sending way too many notifications. There also is the configuration about Jovi Home, and you even get 2 types of launchers. But if there is one feature to point that I totally adored, was the custom dialer that IQOO 12 comes with. Acts very similarly to the good old OnePlus dialer and has built-in recorder out of the box. Another positive is the fact that the phone arrives with Android 14 and you're gonna get 3 years of software support at least. This is not that close to the promise that Samsung or Google are giving, but from 2023's standpoint, it's a solid proposal. In the list with the drawbacks, we're going to mention the lack of 4K video for the front camera, the lack of eSIM support, the lack of wireless charging, the USB 2.0 port, and the use of proprietary fast charging technology. Bottom line, if you wonder whether you should get the IQOO 12 series because of the gaming-oriented setup, I would say yes, it is a spot on. If you wonder whether you should buy it because of the camera, well, that's the best camera setup I've ever experienced on a gaming-oriented flagship. I think there are a bunch of things to like about it. The crazy fast charging, the excellent construction with very thin design, the very bright display, and even the software, which is so well optimized towards good battery endurance. I'm really delighted with the Snapdragon 8 Generation 3 performance as well, so yes, definitely something I can easily recommend, especially knowing that it costs less than most 2023 flagships, which makes it really tempting. So that's my take on the IQOO 12. In case you want to share about your experience, your thoughts, or maybe in case you have questions, the comment section is the right place to do it. As usual, more information about the channel, some ways to support my work over here, and some ways to stay in touch over social media you're gonna find in the video description area. Thanks a lot for watching. I'm the TechMishka. Look forward to seeing you soon. Bye.